I was raised with pretty strong Midwestern roots, which I think to me means hard work ethic, strong ethics, what people think of Midwesterners as having. If you were to talk to my friends growing up, I think they describe me as trustworthy. And money is the business of trust. So I think I'm in the right place for that. I had an interesting lesson in third grade that has taken me a long time to reflect back on. And that is, we went outside on a cloudy day and the teacher asked us to stand in the direction we thought the sun would set. And I turned one way and the rest of the class turned the other way. And even though I was right, I remember that feeling for a moment, being like totally separated from the herd and what that felt like. And in that moment, it made me realize, to stand away from the herd is uncomfortable, but it gives you a confidence in your conviction. And that's something I've built throughout my career. And a lot of the investment advice and things we do are not always in lockstep with, say, the Wall Street way. And I think that makes us very unique. I'm a fourth generation entrepreneur, so I have a number of people in my family, from my father, grandfather, great-grandfather, that ran businesses. And my grandfather, Bill, ran a business until he was 94 years old. And the one lesson I really took away from him is perseverance. He had a business that had to evolve over the course of 60 years, and he had to change with it. So I think that's a great lesson that I take forward, that, we're entering a more dynamic time of AI and all these things that give us uncertainty, but we've got to persevere. We've got to, stick to our roots, but also change with the time. I've always been a fan of financial history. A lot of people like history. I like financial history. There's a lot of lessons we're not taught. And there's an author, G. Edward Griffin, that came up with a book called The Creature of Jekyll Island. And essentially, it was a book about how money works. And that's something, unfortunately, we're not taught in school. But the key takeaway, and it's impactful for everything we do, is that money is lent into existence out of thin air. And that has a lot of implications for the world we live in and how we have to think about investing. One of the most impactful lessons I had was investing and guiding people through the tech bubble of 2000, because I realized the impact that human emotions have on investing, fear and greed, and it got very euphoric at the top of the tech bubble. But what happens is most people are actually betrayed by their emotions. Most people make the wrong decision at the wrong time. They want to chase things at the market high and they want to panic sell at the market low. And you might ask, well, why does that happen? And I think in part it's because they don't really have true conviction in what they're doing. So they find strength in the herd and they feel more comfortable kind of doing what everybody else is doing. But that leads them to a bad place. Our approach is to change psychology, and near tops of markets, try to take chips off the table and get more defensive so you can actually play offense and buy more aggressively when everybody's scared. I realized money was important when I started realizing what money was. And to many people, it is literally their entire accumulated work effort over their entire life. And so the treasure chest of all they've built has a big obligation to help advise on that and protect it. So I think it's got a great importance in that regard. A trade that stuck with me was getting involved with cryptocurrencies at an early stage, because in the early days, it was a technology that was dismissed. People thought it was money laundering, and it just wasn't well understood. And I'm not really a techie, so to speak, so I felt a little out of place in the early days trying to understand this thing. But what I did learn is when you see techie people really excited about a concept, you better pay attention to what it is. And I saw that enthusiasm, and I think now the whole world's waking up to why people are excited about not only Bitcoin, but the entire cryptocurrency ecosystem. I've got a generally conservative bias of not losing first as a principle. It's kind of like a doctor, first do no harm. And you could also use the term, a dollar saved is a dollar earned, because it is hard to make and create wealth and retain it. But on the other side, you can't just sit in a shell and not take risks. So I also have a side to me that's much more entrepreneurial and an aggressive mindset when we see opportunities that are unique. So that's led us to be early investors in things ranging from cryptocurrencies to the build to rent real estate phenomena that's occurred over the last decade. I've got a lot of interests outside of finance. I've been very active in our kids' lives, coaching teams and other things. I'm into health and fitness, and I like hanging out with people and sharing stories. Yeah, WindRock was founded on two key principles that I think differ from most advisory firms. And one was this idea that we're in a different environment. You know, they always say it's dangerous to say it's different this time. So a lot of lessons are not different this time. However, what's different is we have a debt problem in the world and we're printing money and devaluing currencies. So your investment approach has to take that into account in a pretty serious way. Second, we have an entrepreneurial mindset. We try to be ahead of the herd and kind of fashion ourselves more like some of these wealthy family office groups that tend to be very successful entrepreneurial investors in different domains where they've got unique knowledge. So it's the pairing of those two things that makes us unique.